How to check? Every stream cannot check. Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Hey Nick, hey calculated risk, hey calculated risk. Good to see you guys here. I'm just having some issues on Restream, so just checking that. Give me a moment. Okay, oh well, okay. I guess. Okay. Yeah, Restream's just not loading up for some reason. I mean, the chat is not loading up, so I'm not able to do the chat on Restream. It seems like YouTube is working. YouTube chat is working, and also TradingView is working. Oh, good. Okay. So, good morning, JB. Hey, Ola. Hi, Val. Hey, Steve. Snowflakes. Weather isn't too good in the UK. Well, it's not great here in Singapore either. Hey, Diana. Hey, Spiros. Hey, BL. Hey, Booba. How are you all doing? Hey, Christina. Good to see you. Anxious to learn stuff. Good. It's always a learning session. So the link is there for you guys if you haven't already joined the Discord channel. Let me just sort out some stuff. I know. Hey Kelvin, good to see you. Alrighty. So it seems like I have everything set up properly. Seems that it's all good to go. Hey JC, Jeb, good to see you. Alrighty. Okay, everything's good. Everything's running. I don't think there's an issue now. Let's keep going. All right. So again, thank you all for joining me on this daily market analysis. 3 p.m. every day, GMT +8. Good to see all the familiar names and some new names as well. So good to have you guys here with me. during this daily market analysis, what we do is that we look at how prices have been moving, what are the news coming out or has been released, looking for some possible trade setups. Okay, just as usual, a quick reminder is that if you haven't joined us already in the trading community, the link is there, so do make sure you join up. It is free to join. It is absolutely free to stay within the community. All I look for from you is to contribute with your trade ideas, any trade ideas or questions, whether it's learning or verification or asking questions about the news and things that are happening. All right. So if you're new to the session, do drop a message, say hi, let me know where you're joining us from. Our regulars here are super friendly, so I'm sure they make you feel super welcomed. With that, let's get into it. A quick disclaimer, any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. The contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product, and please remember that your objectives, financial situation, and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Okay, if at any point in time you have a question you'd like me to look into any particular trade setups or currency pairs, put it into the chat. I'll be happy to take those on board as well. So looking straight into it, oops, I need Forex Factory up as well. So what we had since the last time we spoke, not a lot of news in particular. We had the US consumer confidence number was 103.7. It got revised up from 101.3. Expected a drop, but it didn't drop as much as expected. It went to 102.3. It did not have too big an impact on the dollar itself, but it was the news from, where was it? The news about the debt prices, right? So there we go. US committee votes to advance bill suspending debt ceiling, sending to full house for approval. That's really interesting. And because of that, we actually saw that strength come through onto the dollar, right? You can see here from last night, last night we actually saw some strength into the dollar. Early this morning, big dollar strength pushing it back up towards that 104.50 interim resistance level. All right. Hey, Alex. Good morning. How are you doing? Hey, AL. So that was the big news from last night, which we saw the impact of that come around. In fact, this was at 8:35 a.m. this morning. So that actually led to that move, right? Led to that push to the upside on the dollar index. Following on from that, what else we saw? At 9:30 a.m. GMT plus 8, we saw Aussie CPI year on year was 6.3%. Expected 6.4, got released at a 6.8. So that was a little bit of a surprise where, didn't think that it's going to rise that much. In fact, I was considering that it could have dropped. But at 6.8, that probably comes to support that notion that the RBA could or is still required to hike rates that one more time. What we saw was not just because of the CPI, but the Chinese manufacturing PMI and non-manufacturing PMI dropping, all right, slowing down further into the contractionary phase for the manufacturing PMI, and slowing down in terms of the expansionary phase for the non-manufacturing PMI. Those two numbers in particular, right? Australia being a very close trading partner with China, we actually saw that also lead to the Aussie dollar weakening, right? So it was dollar strength early in the morning, plus Aussie CPI, plus Chinese PMI numbers, leading to a big drop, right? It was actually a very volatile morning for the Aussie dollar, where we actually saw it at the 9 a.m. time spike up because of that 6.8% CPI number, and then after that continue to the downside because of that dollar strength, and also because of that Chinese slowdown, the slowdown in Chinese PMI numbers. So that was the big move on the Aussie for this morning with the news. Then leading on through to the German preliminary PMI CPI numbers, which was not released. I think it'll be out later. Okay, so it's not out yet. Couple of other data, not going to move prices too much. With the CAD, GDP month to month was 0.1, expected minus 0.1. So we were just sharing about this in the trading community. The CAD, the US CAD, the loonie is at a big resistance level. Right, you can see the US CAD is at a big resistance level of 1.3645. The question I had when it was showing that that red candle there, posted it into the group saying, hey, do you think this is going to reject, or is this going to break through to the upside? Right, so we were looking out for that. It is still at that point not ready yet. I think that with this news tonight at 8:30 GMT plus 8, we could see that move develop. And then moving on to the JOLTS jobs openings, 9.59 million, 9.41 million expectation. I don't think this is going to move prices too much. Okay, and then through to tomorrow, a lot of news, but not huge price movers. I think the main thing will be the Eurozone CPI flash estimates year on year was 7%, expected 6.3, but that's at 5 p.m. GMT plus 8. I will tell you more about that tomorrow during the live session. All right. So for now, I think that it is relatively should be relatively easy to trade. I was sharing this in the group saying that, I do think that today we might see a lot of good trade setups for everyone. So I do, anticipate that it might happen. BL is sharing something quite interesting, that today is the month end. So BL is going to be extra careful. It's probably not going to trade. I would also urge everyone to be a little bit more careful as well. We might see some retracements. And also, it's not just because it is at the end of the month, but it is heading into the June period. So we might actually see some I want to say offset, reset of accounts of positions. So that's something that we might see a bit of a retracement before that big continuation again. Okay. Good morning, Pedro. Good to have you here. Very early in the morning for Pedro. BL did trade it this morning. It is setting up very nicely. I do think that over possibly the last 2 days, we haven't seen too much volatility or trending liquidity. So I think that, or trending volatility, I think that after a bit of a slow 2 days, we are seeing better setups, potentially better setups for today. Okay, so that's what we have in terms of the news. Then looking at the charts, today is the 31st of May. The dollar index is right at that 104.50, about that 104.50 level. I wouldn't think that it's going to consolidate at this level. I think that we're looking for that breakout to 104.80. Okay, so really just shifting this along, I'm looking for this move to the upside towards 104.80 on the dollar index. Strength to continue on along this big trend line to the upside, looking for this to push up to 104.80. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be easy to look for trade if we see that strength continue on. A common or possible thought is that is it going to hit this 104.50 level and trade back down again, similar to what happened yesterday? Um, it could very well do that, but I think it would only be a little bit of a fluctuation before continuation to the upside, right? So um, look for that breakout towards 104.80. With that said, then Kiwi dollar came up, tested, you can see right at that tail, tested this 0.6068 or 6070 level before turning back down, right? So it went sharply to the downside because of that dollar strength. Now that it's broken, so if any of you got into the Kiwi dollar trade, do let me know. Now that it's broken below 0.60, well, it's at 0.60, it tried to break down, right? It's at that level there. I am just going to be looking for it to break below that round number level, right? So this dotted line we have here represents the 50% fib retracement level for that first push to the upside, which we saw around November last year. So now that it's broken at that 50% retracement level, just to be a little bit safer, I would say that I wanted to break below 0.6, right? So dotted line there. It is right there. It is right there. It's possibly going to break within the next couple of hours. I'll be looking for this to break below 0.6 before I would sell out. Break as in for the candle to go below and for it to close below that level. Okay. Val took this trade. Very nice. Good for you, Val. Good morning, M Leader. How are you doing? So for the Kiwi dollar, I'll be looking for, I think because we have quite a bit of space to the downside, I'll be a bit safer and say 5985. You could be looking for, well, 140 pips is a little bit too ambitious, I would say. Let's look for something in the interim. So I would be looking at, let me just try something. 61 is too near. I'll be looking for somewhere there. So right about that point. There. Okay, here we go. I'm looking for something along that point. So back to the H1 time frame, back to current. What I'll be looking for on the Kiwi dollar would be to sell down from 5985, about a 20 to 20 pip, 20 to 30 pip stop loss. A take profit of about 50 would be reasonable. So I think that you could go for 20 pip, trade down, break 0.60, 5985, 50 pip take profit, 20 pip stop loss. That would be reasonable. I'll be happy with that. Okay, so sell 5985, stop loss 20, take profit 50. Okay, and this is, we're looking at the dollar pushing up, so we're all, I think today is going to be heavily focused onto that dollar strength or the potential for that dollar strength. A lot of the setup is going to be based on that. So that's what I'll be looking for on the Kiwi dollar for that downside potential. Okay, so breaks below, then we can be looking for that downward move. Good morning, Cheyenne. How are you doing? Aussie dollar. So this was if you did get into this trade, you're probably holding on to the trade as you're running to the downside. I would say I'll maintain this view. I was actually selling it as it was breaking 0.65, right? There was a question of why did I close out my trade. So I was selling it about 0.6, just at 0.65. Was supposed to be a quick trade, so I had about a couple of, no, I think it was a little bit higher. So I took a bit of a risk. and then I had about a 20 pip stop take profit, a very tight stop loss. It went down and hit my take profit and closed out. Right, so that was the trade. At this point right now, I would say that the downside on the Aussie dollar is pretty much expected. I would be looking for it to trade down towards the 6445 level. If you're not in the trade already, if you're in the trade already, I would hold on to it, move my stop loss down to break even. If you're not in a trade already, then you could be, it's right in the middle. So it's a little bit tricky given that it's right in the middle of that point. Okay, and it's broken. Just checking some lines. Could come down to this point, yes. Okay, so back to the H1 time frame, to the current. If you are not in a trade already on the Aussie dollar, we are still expecting it to trade to the downside. I would say that look for the candle to close. I think if it does close this way, it's going to rebound a little bit. I would be looking to sell down from about 6-4. I think it's retracing as we speak right now. So checking in the M15. I think that we're going to see that retrace or that consolidation along this level. Okay, so what you'll be looking for here will be hour close. I think that you could look to sell down on the hour close about 6480. Brief retracement 6480. Take profit about 30 pips. Stop loss 20 pips. Why I would be happy with this is that we're seeing this push down. If it doesn't retrace, you could still look to sell down, just have to manage your risk on that. I think that this level here would not be the limit. It would be where you would start considering whether to take a bit of profit or whether it could break and continue to the downside. So this would be something that, it could turn from a short-term trade into a longer-term trade to the downside. Okay, so 6480, 20 pip stop loss, 30, so about a 20 pip stop loss and a 35 pip take profit. Not the ideal setup that we're looking for, but I think this could develop into something better. Okay, so 6480, 20 to 35. 80, 20 to 35. I think that I would say that this could be lower if momentum is strong. Okay, the take profit could be a lot lower with that momentum. Good morning, Edo. DL scalp the Aussie, very good. Pedro's asking about the EuroCAD. We can do that shortly. Uba's asking, how do you plan to enter the trade on the Kiwi dollar? Is it by pending order or do you wait for a candle to close? I would always be looking for the candle to close, right? Also because I tend to sit here and watch the charts. So I do have that luxury to sit there and wait for the candle to close. I don't like the pending orders too much because it could just come down, spike, hit, and then bounce back up again. So I want to see that candle close before I will get into a trade. Okay, so that's the Kiwi dollar done, the Aussie dollar done. It is retracing very nicely, so I'm looking for that to retrace, close out about that point, and then look to sell down. Dollar yen has been a little bit frustrating. Why I say that, it was in that range. So I was looking at this yesterday at about that point, about 6 p.m. I was thinking, could this bounce back up? Could this bounce back up? I actually took a loss on the yen yesterday. I actually had a trade like that. Had a trade like think as it was trying to bounce. So I saw this push, and as it was trying to bounce, I got in. I think I took about a 20 pip. Yeah, just below that trend line, I had about a 20 pip loss on that. I was looking for that push back up. Did not happen. So it did not happen. One reason why I found it a bit frustrating. And then it broke that trend line, consolidated just below 140. Earlier today, broke to the downside, but it was weird. It was weird. Why? It's because we're seeing dollar strength, but yet we're seeing the yen, the US yen push to the downside. So that breakout, I was looking to see whether we could sell it down, but now it's retracing back up. I would say that anticipating that dollar index to push to the upside, then we could see this push back up. So what I would say is that, I'll take this away, is that if it does break above 140 again, we could be looking about 140.10. We could be looking at a 75 pip take profit, relatively tight stop at about 30 pips. So below that round number resistance level. Okay, so I'll be looking for that move on the US yen. So 140.10, 75 pip take profit, 30 pip stop loss. But I think that you do need a bit of patience on the US yen at this point. It's not moving in alignment with the dollar index, so it's something to really watch and be a bit cautious. Don't rush in, right? We are giving it a lot of space to climb up first. So I think that if it does have that push up, that momentum might see it continue to the upside. So 140 or 1030 to 75. 30 to 75. Okay. M leader also took a loss on the yen last day of May, so trade. Yeah, it is the last day, so trade extra cautiously. If you're making a profit on your account for the month, it's possibly preservation time rather than adventure time. Okay, so you could always sit it out, wait for next month, which is tomorrow, and then get into trades again. Curious is asking about Aussie cat. We'll get to that shortly as well. Okay, so that's the US yen. Okay, I like that possible setup. Pound dollar, right? Pound dollar, we were looking at this yesterday, right? So at the end of the session, idea was that we could see the pound dollar break to the downside. Obviously, that didn't happen because the pound dollar broke that downward trend line and went from 1.2370 pretty much straight up towards 1.24, almost 1.2450 before now retracing. This big push to the upside was that, well, we were trying to figure out why, within the community, we're trying to figure out why this was the move. Was it because of the drone attacks in Russia? But I think the headliner or the news was that the Bank of England was possibly looking at further rate increases. That's why we saw the pound dollar push strongly to the upside. Ultimately, short-lived or relatively short-lived, came back down right now at 1.2370. Okay, 1.2370. I do think that we might see further downside given that we see the dollar index push up. All right, so what I'll be looking for here would be quite similar to what we saw yesterday. I'll take this away because it's broken, so it doesn't hold anymore. You can see that if I just held on to this trend line, all right, what you'll be looking for is for it to break this resistance turn support level at 1.2350 and also that trend line. So I'd be looking for on the pound dollar about 1.23. I'll be a bit safer here. 1.2340. Below 1.2340 would have a 25 to 30 pip stop loss. Take profit. Initial one could be about 30, but I think that if it does come down, I'll do 1.2335. 30 pip stop loss, almost a 60 pip take profit to the downside towards that 1.2275 support level. Okay, that I like this one. I like it. If it pushes down, we're going to see that break. We're going to see a big continuation to the downside. So 1.2335, 30 pip stop, 60 pip take. Pound dollar, sell 1.233, very similar to what we were talking about yesterday. So 30 pip and 60 pips to the downside. All good, all good. Hey, do remember, if you like what you're seeing, if you find this useful, do click that thumbs up button, do click that little rocket ship button on TradingView. Help me out. Let's get more people onto these sessions. Okay, then we look at the euro dollar. I didn't get in the morning. I think by about midday, I was scalping the euro dollar to the downside. I got cautious as it came to that low. Right now, in about less than 30 minutes time, if the euro dollar does close like this or a little bit lower, would have triggered our trade, right? We're not really good to trigger the trade yet. It does need to close below this point. So you could be looking at euro dollar. Right now, it's at 1.0676. I think that it's going to retrace a little bit. You could be looking to sell, even if it does come down to 1.0670, right? Let's say that anywhere below this point, you could be looking to sell. Stop loss can be about 30 pips. Take profit about 40 pips to the downside. Can it break lower on the euro dollar? Let's see. Yes, I do think that if it comes down to this point, then it comes down strongly to that 1.0630 level, then it's all about dragging that take profit lower, right? All the way down. It could go down to 1.0530 as well. So I do think that we could see significant downside on the euro dollar. Okay, so you could even be looking at that kind of move. 100 again, I don't think it's going to move 130, 140 pips with no significant policy changes. So I would say that the first move will be down to that 40. Then we can reevaluate and see how the momentum could push it down again. So first off, 1.0670, stop loss 30, take profit 40. 1.0670, stop loss 30. Could be less, could be a bit less as well. And take profit 40. Generally, is that we're looking for further downside on the euro dollar. Okay. Makes sense. Put in the chat if it all makes sense to you, if it's all good, just so that I know I haven't lost everyone. Question on the trading community just before the session, as the US Swiss franc was pushing up, there was a question for me, where do we see the US Swiss franc? I said it's on the way up. It's going to continue to the upside. It's almost at that take profit level of 40 pips towards that resistance of 0.9120. So if you're in the trade, hold on to it. I think that it's going to continue pushing to the upside. I think it could move higher at that resistance. So that trade is running. That trade is well and on the way. At that resistance, I would say that you can see that the last time it got to this point on the 10th of April, we had a big retrace. I I would say that if you look at the momentum, it's really holding that upside. Next resistance level is at about 0.92. I would like to say, thank you, Bia. I would like to, well, I'd like to say that dollar strength is going to push the US Swiss franc to the upside. You could be looking to buy 9130, take profit 75 pips, stop loss, 20 pips would be reasonable. A big trade to the upside, but I also want to see what's going to happen at this resistance level. There is the opportunity to possibly go for a counter trend trade. I know many of you do like possible counter trend ideas, so we could see this trade back down just because of how it reacted the last time round, right? But I think that why it hit this level and came down was because the US Swiss franc was on that downward trajectory before, so it shot up, hit the level, and came back down. This time round, it's on the upward trajectory. So I think that it's more likely to break to the upside, but I'm not ruling out the possibility of a brief, strong correction back down before continuing up again. Okay, so overall, US Swiss franc, I would say the higher likelihood is to buy 9130, stop loss 20, take profit 75. Buy 9130, stop loss 20, take profit 75. There we go. Okay, then we'll get onto the US CAD. Right, US CAD looking, right, remember we do have the CAD GDP to be released, looking like it might signal some weakness onto the CAD dollar, so that would support that push to the upside towards that 1.36 or almost 1.37 level, interim level. I'll hold that view. I don't think it's going to retrace. I'll hold that view thinking that it's going to push up. Okay, and you will also see that not a perfect one, but that's that inverted head and shoulder, breaking that neckline, supporting that move to the upside. So I'll hold that same analysis as what we had yesterday. Buying 1.3650, stop loss 20, take profit 40 to the upside for the US CAD. Might fluctuate along this range for a while like we had there, but I think that later today you could see this push to the upside. Okay, oh good. Okay, so now that we've gone through the majors, then oh wait, one more, gold. Okay, gold went up. Figured out when I was checking onto MT4 and this didn't happen on my MT4, so I'm not sure why we have this on trading view here, but we were expecting it to drop because of that dollar strength, and what you're seeing now is that dollar strength is also not pushing gold lower. A bit curious on that. So I think that looking at gold climb, looking at the dollar climb, it looks like it's some shift towards reserve. There's some shift towards reserve. So I think that that gold could range within this level, but a stronger push on the dollar could see this come back down. Ultimately, what I'll be looking for is possibly a move like that. Right? It might come down, test this area of 1950 before pushing back up. I'll still be looking for buying opportunities on gold. Okay, so what I would say for gold would be looking for buying opportunities. Oh, okay, around 1950, right? From retracement. Okay, so that's that. Then, with Pedro's question on the Euro CAD, Euro dollar pushing down is going to drive the Euro CAD lower. CAD potentially pushing up should push this up. Then I would say that looking at this, we do have a big support here at 1.4522 or even 1.4520. A resistance at about 1.4616 or even 1.46 or 1.4650. It's going to get interesting on the EuroCAD. What I'll be looking for is for it to come down. I don't think I would trade it down, but I like how it's reacting along this support level. So I'll be looking for it to trade down, and then after that, for that bounce back up. So what you could be looking for on the EuroCAD would be buying opportunities 1.4530, take profit. You could go all the way at 100 pips, and then you could be looking to close out within that 50% retracement level. So first level about 50 pips. If it does break through that, then you could even be looking at 100 pips to the upside. Okay, hope I answered your question there, Pedro, about the EuroCAD. Then Aussie CAD. Okay, Aussie CAD is here. Aussie CAD breaking a big strong, well, because the Aussie dollar is trading strongly to the downside. It looks like it's gonna, in the next couple of minutes, might trigger this trade for the downside. So the Aussie CAD, again, more downside potential. H4 time frame, looking for the next relevant level, I would say, is about that point there, 8750. Okay, so coming back to the current, then I would say if it closes this way, you could be at, well, okay, I think that while, oh wait, what am I doing? While it could push down, might retrace a little bit. It might retrace a little bit, but what I'll be looking for is a selling opportunity. I'll look for it to bounce. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm not a pair that I usually trade, but I think that it could bounce back up before turning back down again. So I would be looking for about below 8850. If it stays below 8850, 30 pip stop loss. And you could go for the 100, but I think that this would be a trade that you would want to manage because we do have the CAD news to be released later today. Okay, so still looking for the downside on the Aussie CAD, because it is heading into the region where the last time we saw these price levels was November last year. You might, if you really wanted to be safe, you could be looking to get in only if it breaks below that point. right? So if it retraces, you have a trade entry there. If it doesn't retrace, if it continues down, then you could be looking at 8815. Tight stop at about 20 pips. Take profit at about 60 pips to the downside, right? So generally downside for the Aussie CAD. Isaiah with the euro dollar on the way to the yearly pivot. Let's check out the euro dollar again. Look at it on H4. Yearly pivot, I would say about that point. I think you're talking about this level at 1.0525. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that, yeah, it's possibly going to come down to this point, and then we're going to see possibly a good strong reaction. Possibly, I would like to see it bounce. I would like to see it bounce from this point. Great, fantastic. I like it when we align. Okay, so with that, then zeros was for the Aussie CAD. We did the Aussie CAD. Then the S&P 500. Look at that. The US 500. Oh wait, I'm gonna check this out. S&P 500. Yes, we can look at Bitcoin as well. So we were looking at this yesterday. I was anticipating for that downward push. Take that away. I was anticipating for the downward move. Still looking for that possible move. You can see that it tried to break up, failed to trade higher. Looks like it's forming on H1 time frame. A bit of a double top, could break back down towards that 4110 consolidation area again. Right, still looking for that move. It also comes down to how's the deal going on, whether it's done and dusted on the debt ceiling deal agreement. But looking at it on H4 time frame, it does look like, again, a bit of a head and, or not head and shoulder, a bit of a double top. I'm still looking for somewhat of a retracement back towards that 4110, 4120 area. Okay. Atra, I hope I answered your question there. Then Val's asking about the pound yen. We were looking at this very closely, right? I did get out, so we were talking about this in the community as well. Selling down, I sold it down, closed out before the session. So very happy I closed out before the session, because right now it is bouncing back up. Why is it bouncing back up? It's driven most likely by the US yen. Pound dollar is still dropping, right? So Aussie dollar looks like it's going to trigger. Kiwi dollar has some little bit of time left. I think that the pound yen is going to find a reaction along this 172 below 173 range. Look for it to react. I was looking for that downside, but right now with the current price action, with the way the yen is moving, you could actually see a bounce back up to the upside. You might actually see this react and push back up. However, I would say that it's possibly not worth trying to guess where the pound yen could go, because pound dollar trading down, US yen pushing up, it's going to see a bit of a conflicted move right at this 173 region. So for now, possibly not worth getting onto the pound yen, well, and everyone else. Okay. And then charts for Bitcoin. We were talking about this yesterday, looking for that move. I hope you caught the session yesterday, because it was at that I think it was at that point. that 27,800, 850 level. And I was saying I anticipate it's going to come down towards that 26,770 or 780. It pretty much came almost in that level. Right now, showing a bit of a retracement. I think that it's why it's retracing. It's really because of a technical view that was big strong drop, right? Retrace because of Alta Bollinger. I do think that at this point we are likely to see it go down towards this support. However, I don't think we're likely to see it break this support. I think we're going to see it consolidate along this 26,800 level while it waits to develop a clearer direction. I think this is a somewhat of a fair, for now it's fair value. So I think that it could come down to this level and consolidate. It might retrace a little bit, but I do think it's going to come down to test this support and then, develop a bias depending on what the dollar index does. Very nice. It caught the drop. Good job. It filled the CME future gap. Okay, I'll take your word for that. All right. So with all that said, please remember, if you haven't already, especially if you're trading, Jacques, if you're trading into cryptocurrencies, we do have a lot of chat about the FX pairs. I'm definitely looking for more people to come on board to talk more about the cryptocurrencies as well. So do join. The link is there for the trading community. Do join up, contribute. Let's build the community together. Let's learn and help each other trade better together. Okay. So if you have any other questions, let's. Ooh, dollar index breaking resistance. Look at that. Yep, it's getting there. Right? Why I'm trying to rush off is because I want to get into some trades. I think a lot of things are setting up quite nicely. Aussie dollar in particular. I think euro dollar as well is coming close. Pound dollar later. So it'll be, for me, it'll be Aussie dollar very soon, or at the close of the hour. Euro dollar, possibly at the close of the hour, might go in a little bit earlier. Kiwi dollar will be a bit later on, does have a little bit to move first. Together with the pound dollar will be a bit of a later trade. US yen, not ready yet, does need to push up first. And then everything else can wait a little while as well, right? So the main thing for me will be the Aussie and the euro dollar. Similar to what I've been doing for this morning. I'll probably look to get back in on that. You're most welcome there, Vel. Thank you, BL. Much appreciated as well, Ola. Jacques with the question on my thoughts on the debt ceiling, what will happen if they raise or not. I don't think at this point right now, I was writing up something about the debt ceiling and then the potential deal came around. And then there was a whole chatter about, going to whether they're going to approve the agreement. Then I decided not to push on, to record the info about the debt ceiling because it's a little bit done and dusted. I think that it's definitely going to happen. Right now, it's just down to politics, and I think that the debt ceiling doesn't always or hasn't affected the dollar index too much. It could potentially affect the equity markets more significantly, but overall, I think that it's going to be in the overall broad view, it's a small blip in the longer term trend. Okay. Thank you, Bridget. Good to see you. Good to see you there. Thank you for joining us. Do remember to join the Discord channel. Thank you, Kelvin. Thanks, Nick. And with that, please trade well, trade safe. Let's chat in the Discord channel. And I'll see you tomorrow during the live stream again. Take care now. Bye-bye.